Please join me in the pledge now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated.
Every day, an American citizen becomes a part of the greatest military in the world. Every day, more than 22 veterans die from suicide due to PTSD. Every day, we walk these halls, do our daily routine without fear of war breaking out in our parking lot. Every day, we're protected by America's finest. We are here today because of these people. So join me not just today, but every day in showing our appreciation for these veterans and active military members who risk their lives for our freedom.
Picked us up from Okinawa. When we went to get on a C-130 to be transferred to Vietnam, they were unloading body bags. That was a rude awakening because I knew that me or some of the guys could be coming back that way.
Today is a time for Americans to reconnect with their history and the values of honoring and remembering those who willingly and literally faced death for the freedom and ideals we as Americans cherish.
Every day, we are defended by the lives of our fellow Americans. But who are they?
My brother. My cousin.
My dad.
My dad.
My grandpa and my uncles.
My grandpa.
My father, my brother, and myself.
My dad, my father-in-law, my son, and my students.
We are here today to say thank you, and we are honored to know you. There are many men and women serving today in all branches of this military, here at home and in places far away, some places you never knew about. And they are a part of the best trained, best equipped force in the world. We honor them and their families for the sacrifices they make each and every day to keep our country safe from terrorism, hatred, and injustice.
Everything that has to do with the United States of America, there's no place like the USA. I mean, whether it's freedom, or whether it's food, or whether it's your family, or whether it's entertainment, or whether it's just the good old USA, you miss the country.
The American soldier. He has sacrificed his blood, his sweat, his tears, and sometimes even his life for his country. And we cannot fathom that because we have not walked through his shoes. We have not seen the things that he has seen. We have not heard what he has heard. So join me, not just today, but every day, in thanking the veteran.
Mike Fotenopulos is a Fort Smith native and graduate from Southside High School in 1987. He graduated from the University of Arkansas in 1996 and in 2007 graduated from Harding University with his master's in educational leadership. He entered the U.S. Air Force in June of 1987 and exited with honorable discharge as an Airman First Class in May of 1990. He served as law enforcement specialist. He has been stationed in San Antonio, Texas, Greenhand Common in the UK, Valdosta, Georgia, and in Panama City, Panama. He served with distinction and received official letter of accommodation during Operation Just Cause. He is currently a teacher at Har-Ber High School and is married to LaDonna Fotenopulos for 22 years. Together, they have 2 children. Har-Ber High School, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our very own Mike Fotenopulos.
Thank you. Let's see, I gotta get my bearings here. Does this move this? No, it doesn't. How are y'all doing? It doesn't move it. Can y'all move the slide back there? Because this isn't moving it. What do I do? There you go. Let's go right to the which way do I go? Okay. Hey, good. I'm glad we had that. First things first, I want to say thank you to Debbie Lamb and the East Lab, because they're the ones that resurrect this motion, this movement every year, not only because the calendar says so, but because it's the right thing to do. And that is, it is because of them that we're honoring these veterans like this. And so because of Debbie Lamb and the East Lab, I'd like to give them a round of applause, if you don't mind. The first part of my story is probably not that exciting. It's kind of a downer, quite frankly. So if you can just kind of muddle with me and go through it. What you see here is a picture of my family when I was a little fella. That's me getting hugged by my daddy. It's tough looking at that. Excuse me. It's tough looking at that and knowing what I'm about to talk about. I was born in 1969, Houston, Texas, to George and Shirley Fotenopulos. In 1974, my dad died because of a terrible electrical accident that took place at our home. We were moving into a new home. He himself was working as an engineer at DuPont in Houston, Texas. My mom and dad were trying to get, started in life, so to speak. And he died tragically that day. My brother, my mom, and me got to see him exit this world. There. It's a memory I'll never forget. And the ambulance came, and of course it took a long time for me to capture in my mind what had taken place. I remember a little bit later that summer, my mom did all that she could do, which is to move back to Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is where she's from. We got to Fort Smith, Arkansas with her family, so to speak. My in-laws, or I'm sorry, my grandparents, my in-laws, my grandparents and her mom and dad. And so there it was that she kind of started our life new in 1974, 1975, without my dad. And that little family that you see up there will never be the same again, obviously. So I remember laying out in the backyard one night with my mom and my brother. It was something that we would do. We were poor. We didn't have a whole lot. But one of the fascinating and entertaining parts of our young little life there would we lay down out in the grass at night, just look at the stars. And the reason we'd look at the stars is because they'd be blinking, obviously, as you know. And my mom would sit there and go, "That's your daddy up there. He's waving at you boys. Won't y'all wave back at him?" So we would. Obviously, this is not why stars blink. But to a little fella, it started to make kind of if you will, a notion that there is something bigger and stronger and mightier than me on this planet and throughout this universe. And that kind of gets me to my first fundamental that we're going to be talking about, or that I want to talk about, and that is that there is a higher being, that there is a God. And I probably need to recognize that man, that thing. And obviously today I do. As time went on, my mom would remarry, and that was not a great decision for her or my family. She remarried a man who basically, I think, probably married her because she was getting a $1,200 a month check every month because of Social Security. They in turn had 3 daughters together. So now we're a family of 5. We're a very dysfunctional family of 5. We're a dysfunctional family because the head of that household at that time was very jealous of me and my brother. It was obvious. And he's probably a little ashamed of his own actions. And so to cover up that shame, he just continued to act worse. Physical violence was something that I knew very much a part. I was very much a part of physical violence. Verbal violence, which was very much more hurtful than the physical violence. Physical violence that ate at this family was, I can't even begin to say. One of the things that really bothered me throughout my childhood was the fact that my brother was, without fail, one of the most talented people I've ever met in my young life. And now that I'm an older person and can look back, he's still one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. My brother can draw like you've never seen before. He can sculpt out of clay like you couldn't even imagine. He taught himself to play the guitar. He taught himself to play the piano. He taught himself to play several musical instruments through ear, and because of alone time and being ignored. My brother built his first car. He built it from the ground up, a 1977 Camaro. He brought it home, and he would work at the Taco Tico down the end of the road and would basically bring Taco Tico money home and turn this car into a living, breathing machine that just absolutely made a 16-year-old boy's hair stand on just on ends. Is a 350, a 3-speed. It was ugly to look at because it was nothing but primer, but that thing would go. What 16-year-old kid can literally build a car from the ground up? Is anybody? That's my brother. The sin here was that my brother was totally ignored. This is totally ignored. Not all of our childhood was fraught with this angst. But my mother's husband was just so confused himself. The abuse, like I said, was it was intermittent between happy times of playing football and being somewhat normal, and then all of a sudden chaos. If you go to my classroom right now, you'll see a bunch of letters on one of my boards down there at the bottom of the boards. It's got these letters, and it's got the letter D for Darby, where I played football for Darby Junior High in the 8th grade. And then I played in the 9th grade at Woodland Junior High. Just follow me now. Played football in the 9th grade for Woodland Junior High. I got a letter for those guys. And then in the 10th grade, I played for Bentonville High School. I lettered for them as a sophomore. And then finally, as a junior, we're back at Fort Smith Southside, where I'm playing football for them. So did you follow that? Those are just some of the junior highs that I went to. I'm not even going to talk about the grade schools I went to. The reason we're doing all that is because I've got a mom who's chasing this guy who can't pay bills, won't do the right thing, can't stay afloat, and we're trying to chase and run away from, rather, bill collectors, I guess, and things of this nature. It's just a mark of poverty. But in there, my mom was still steady. All throughout that time, my mom's steady. Homemaker, part-time jobs, giving me the example of fundamental number 2, working hard. And for some reason, I don't know why, I was able to always latch myself on to good people. I remember one year going down to Houston, Texas, and visiting my Aunt Kathy Fotenopulos. And she said to me one day, it's one of those things that people say to you, and you don't think about it, and all of a sudden it just makes sense as you're, I don't know, drinking a Coke later on or something. And she said, Mike, hang around with good people. You want to know why? Why? Because good people do good things. That's fundamental number 3. My brother left when he was 17 years of age. He had had enough of the abuse, the physical. I think it ended one night when he finally had to go to a doctor and actually have a doctor look at him because he had a huge kidney infection. The reason he had that kidney infection is because he was kicked in the side, where he then had to put himself into his own, if you can imagine a 17-year-old kid taking himself to the emergency room there in Bentonville, Arkansas, where he in fact took out money from his own pocket and paid for his medical visit and paid for his medical, if you will, medicine. That's what I'm talking about, abuse. Later on, into my junior year, going into my senior year, me and my stepdad at that time had it out, he and I, a physical altercation that I'll never forget, and it ended with me just leaving. And I start thinking, where can I go? Mike, think of some good people that you know. So here I am, and I think of my good friend Jim Tate. And I said, Jim, I need a place to stay. He said, sure, man, you can spend the night. I said, I don't think you understand. I need a place to live, brother. And he said, come on in here, man, let's talk to my parents. Good people do good things. Dr. Tate and his wife welcomed me into their home, let me live there my senior year, and I finally got to understand what it meant like to walk into a kitchen and make yourself a sandwich. I'd never been able to do that before. I'd never been able to pour myself a glass of Coke between meals. I didn't know what that was like. Like, wow. They bought me a pickup truck for $1,800. I paid them back. Now I got wheels. I'm not in a land of confusion or violence. I'm excelling at football. I'm getting these letters of fill in the blank. I'm getting these people wanting to talk to me about football. Wow. My college talk with my mom and her husband went like this. Hey, I'd like to go to college. Awesome. Pass the salt. That was the college talk at the old house. The college talk at the new house was quite different. And they said, Mike, do you feel like you're going to do good at college? And I said, no, I don't. And they said, how come? I said, I'm not prepared. I don't know how to do anything. I can barely read, for crying out loud. I can't think. I said, well, you need to do something. You can't just go and do nothing. You got to become something, Mike. Have you thought about joining the military? No. What is the military? But that's what good people do. Good people do good things. And they kind of just keep coaching you. And they just kind of keep pushing you and moving you and coaching you and putting you in that situation. The next thing you know, I'm joining the Air Force. And I'm 18 years old, and I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I got a shaved head, and I'm wearing cucumber green uniform, and I'm looking crazy in the mirror going, what in the world have I done? And that's where this story picks up a little bit better. That's me, graduating from boot camp, if you will, 1987, Airman Michael Fotenopulos, ready to take on the world, and I become, I guess you will, a law enforcement specialist. I guess I could have waited out for different jobs, but I wanted to join the military fairly quickly, and so I did. I went overseas to a place called Royal Air Force Base Greenham Common, which is about 50 miles west of London. I didn't know this, but they had 81 ground-launched cruise missiles that were pointed at the southern area of China. I didn't know what any of that meant. I didn't know we were in a Cold War. Again, I had my own Cold War back in Fort Smith, if you remember. And so again, the Air Force is starting to teach me, and they're teaching me a lot. One of the things I got to do a lot of is basically watch people not carry 5-ton bombs over a fence. What? Yeah, that was one of my jobs, is making sure people don't carry off these bombs, which is totally hysterical because no one could ever, who cares, right? But the Air Force is teaching you stuff all the time. The military is teaching you stuff all the time. Wait your turn. Be patient. Stand in line. Be patient. Shut your mouth. Stand in line. Be patient. Shut your mouth. You seeing the theme? It happens it was all throughout my Air Force career. And so we would practice all the time there in England, that we were, under duress, that the enemy were coming in and all this kind of stuff. And then we got to the tail end of 1989, and that's when President Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down this wall. I don't know if you all remember that or not, but he did. And so what that really means is we're going to tear down everything that's nuclear all throughout the world. We tear down ours, you tear down yours as part of the INF Treaty. And so we did. We were starting to do that. One of the things that I kind of enjoyed as I went in the Air Force, as this thing doesn't work again, we can't get, I want to move this because I want to get off that guy's picture. There you go. Another thing that I kept doing when I was in the Air Force is meeting good people. And here they are. Two of my best friends that I still have in this life. Rich Smith is in the middle, and that's Pete Sorobitz on the right. And there we are, the original three amigos. And this is us in the NIMSA, the non-munition storage area of one of our Air Force bases that we covered there in England. And behind us, you can't tell it, but there's just rows and rows of bombs. We shouldn't have taken that picture. I think that's a secure area, and I think that picture is fairly illegal. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and look at it. So anyway, that's us. That's what we did. And again, it was very taxing. One of the things I got to do, though, I guess is that was kind of fun, is I got to go to the NCO club. As you can tell, I'm a fairly biggish fella, especially by Air Force standards. And so on Friday nights, they liked me with my gun and me with them, helping them clean up the NCO club on Friday nights. So I got to do that quite a bit, which I guess kind of, it got old after a little while. But again, I got to play football overseas. The next picture is me going off to one of my football award banquets. That's my good friend Richard Smith there, patting me on the fanny, so to speak, as I head off to my little awards banquet. And there he is fixing to go off and do his duty. And again, it just goes back to one of those fundamentals that I kept kind of getting, thinking about. There was a God that was always watching over me. I continued to work hard and to continue just to do the right thing and surround myself around good people. And the Air Force provided me with that. As time would go on, I'd have to leave England, which really broke my heart. I love that station. So that was my short tour, as they call it, 2 years or less. And I come back to stateside, and I go to this place called Valdosta, Georgia, which is called a temporary, or it's called a, it's a MAC base, which means Military Airlift Command. These guys are mobile. They got a lot of F-16s, and they get up every morning and wake you up at about 6:30, and about 40 of these things go to Canada and come back by about 7:30, it seems like. I mean, they're not gone long. Anyway, as I'm there, we've got to now get ourselves geared up and go to a temporary duty assignment to Panama. And I'm like, this will be fun. Let's go to Panama. I've never been to Panama. So we get down to Panama, and as we land our plane down there, this is the Christmas now of 1989. As we land our airplane, they tell us to get out and to hustle. And again, the Air Force, they teach you to do things, you do them, and they said hustle. So as we're hustling, I'm noticing these bugs flying by my head. I'm like, golly, there's a big bugs here. And they're hitting the plane. That's awful. I'm going to clean that up later. This is bad. And they said, duck, move, 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 move. So we're ducking and we're moving, and it kind of feels a little bit like Vietnam from the movies that I've watched. And I'm like, what is this? And they're shooting at us. Why are they shooting at us? Don't they know me? I'm a nice guy. Who would shoot at us? So the Panamanian Defense Force had been kind of acting up for quite some time down there, and they were shooting at us, literally. So I didn't know what to expect. I thought we were going to come down here and surf and eat lobster and, say hello to Panamanian people. But that's not what happened at all. 2 nights later, a Marine captain was shot and killed in the downtown streets of Balboa. The next day, President Bush basically called war on Panama. They called us in there into a big hangar, and they said, you need to get armed up with whatever weapon you can get yourself armed up with. I had an M16 under this side of my hip, or under this shoulder, and over on this side I had a 9mm, and I had a 203 grenade launcher underneath that M16. And so we go off in the woods, and we're looking for bad guys. We're looking for bad guys, and we're looking for Manuel Noriega, and this is called Operation Just Cause. And so for the next 2 months, we are ducking bullets. We are seeing bodies where they shouldn't be, opening up body bags, and you don't know what's in there. And I am scared like you've never seen. I've gone from one crazy world to now this crazy world, it seems like. I kind of like this world better, though. More stable. One thing about abuse, for those of you who don't know, especially to a boy, it robs you of your self-confidence. Abuse robs you of being authentically brave. Abuse robs you of being authentically confident. And one day I decided to do something about that when I was in the Air Force. We had to go do a search and clear down this dirt road. We had to go do a search and clear once we got down to the end of that dirt road to a house that has been known to house Panamanian Defense Forces and basically bad guys. We need a volunteer. And I had grown so tired of being scared in my life. I volunteered. Me and another guy, I don't even know his name, he had a dog with him. He was a dog handler, is what they call them. So me, him, and this dog start walking down this trail. And the whole time I got that gun pointed at that dog because I'm like, if this dog barks for anything and gives us away, at least one thing I'm going to do is shoot it. Because if I'm going to get shot because of a loudmouth dog, I at least want to take that dog with me. I remember that thought. How silly of me. So we get down there. And all that training that the Air Force had ever taught me had come back. Be quiet. Wait your turn. Shut your mouth. Get in line. Get low. Hunker down. Something up there is above you. Work hard. Surround yourself with good people. Oh, these things just keep flooding back. And there were bad guys in that building. And there was a scary moment. And there was some things that happened there. We made our way back to our command. We told them what had happened. We told them what was going on there. And the next day, that building was erased off planet Earth because of Apache helicopters. And I thought that was way cool. And I was like, woo, thank you, God. So we don't have to go back to that spot. I say all that to say this. As I left the Air Force a little bit later to go into my world of civilian world, I knew I was going to have to go to college. I wanted to go to college. I knew I had to do that. And I met this young lady, where again I was able to kind of use that same motto of surround yourself around good people. I noticed my mom had made a terrible mistake when she got married the second time. I didn't want to make that mistake. So again, the Air Force keeps coming back in my mind of, learning from all your training, be it negative or positive. And one of the training messages that I had was, surround yourself around good people. And so I did. And her name's LaDonna Fotenopulos, and we've been going for 22 years strong. And I thank the Air Force for teaching me that. And somewhere in there, too, we had these two guys. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud that neither one of those kids have ever known of parents stealing from them. Neither one of those parents have ever known, or neither one of those kids have ever known a parent hitting them across the face, saying ugly things to them so as to get them out of a room so they don't have to even look at them. There's no division between LaDonna and me. We're united fronts against those two little rascals. It's because we love each other. We didn't marry each other because of ulterior motives, because she has a check from a former marriage and things of this nature. We married each other because we decided once upon a time that we loved each other. Come thick or thin, she's going to be mine and I'm hers, and she's in my foxhole and I'm in hers. And you mess with her, you mess with me, you mess with me, you mess with her. That mentality. And together we're going to raise those two kids. And if either one of them has an inkling of talent in anything, you better believe that me and Miss LaDonna Fotenopulos are going to lift and let them lift every stone, undercover every brush, do everything that they can to make their light shine. They might be a couple of zeros. just in case one of them's got some awesome potential, we're going to light a fire under that instead of ignore it and watch it go away. So you say, well, here I am with this hour with a hero guy. Here's what it all means to me. That man in that picture right there got to fix a wrong that was done back in 1974. That man got to fix that wrong, guess what? Because there's a God above, because he's got a little bit of work ethic, and because he kept surrounding himself around good people. That in and of itself epitomizes this nation. This nation was settled on good folks doing the right thing, working hard, under the guide of an Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so proud of the veterans before me, that came before me, that basically laid down their lives and laid down their sacrifice so that I could fix that wrong that was a wrong from years ago and turn it into the right that it is today. It's because of those veterans, and it's because of that flag that flies behind them, and it's because of that, again, I had that chance. Try doing what I did. Try living my life in Syria today. Try living my life in another country of turmoil and angst. You're not fixing that problem. But my Fotenopulos was able to fix that problem from an earlier childhood because of all those people before me, because of a powerful God, because of good people, because of just old-fashioned work. Thank you very much.
We would just like to thank Mr. Fotenopulos for coming out today and sharing his story with us. Let's give him one more round of applause, guys. We would also like to thank any other veterans in attendance. If you're a veteran today in attendance, could you please stand? We would like to thank everyone for coming out today. Students, you are now dismissed to go back to class.